everyone, I'm Rebecca Keppel. I'm super excited to be here on Therm O Web's YouTube channel today and to share a couple of cards that I made with some Newton's Nook products along with Therm O Web products, and I'm going to show you how I created a foiled card edge as well as a foiled background. So this is the Tumbling Hearts stencil. I'm going to use that with the Deco foil transfer gel. I have the Love Bites clear stamp set, and I also have the Frames and Flags die set. So I'm just going to cut apart those dies and show you some of the pieces that I'm going to use, especially this little stitched rectangle with the rounded edges. So I'm going to start out using some Therm O Web purple tape to keep my die in place as I send it through my die cut machine. And this is going to be the central card panel. I want the background to be raised dimensional foiled hearts. So I'm going to create a mask for this little card panel so that I can adhere it flush to my card background and I don't have to try and adhere it over dimensional foiled hearts. That will make it kind of bumpy and uneven. So I die cut 3 pieces of the Therm O Web purple tape. I stuck them together and then die cut it in that same shape, and that's going to create a mask. I'm going to adhere the stencil over the masked cardstock down to my work surface, and I am going to apply the Therm O Web transfer gel, and you can see that that is white when it's wet and then it dries clear. So I'm going to pull that mask off, and there were a couple of places where the hearts went over the edge. That's okay. It's all going to get adhered down when we run it through the laminator, so it'll all be flattened down. But you can see that you can put that little card panel flush onto the background there. I'm going to make a parchment sandwich and put my foil on top of that background with the color side facing up, and when I run it through the laminator you can see that it foils those dimensional hearts and it creates a nice little border around that area that I'm going to adhere the card panel to. I rescued my mask from the garbage and I cut a little hill into it, and I'm going to use it to create a sky and grassy hill background. I'm going to use some Distress Oxide inks and a brush to just brush on a really light bit of, this is Salty Ocean. So that will be my sky. And then I'll take the other half of the mask and just put it down. I'm going to leave a little line of color so that I blend a little bit between the two. And now I am using the Lucky Clover Distress Oxide ink with the same type of brush for the grass. And so you can see that's my little card panel. I have a sentiment that I am going to stamp with VersaFine Black Onyx ink on top of one of the flags that I cut out from the Frames and Flags die. And I stamped that on some Therm O Web Gina K Designs cardstock. So now I'm going to take 2 of the little cupcake stamps, and I am stamping those with My Favorite Things Hybrid Black ink because they are Copic safe, and I'm stamping that on just some white cardstock so that I can color in the 2 little cupcakes. I have the one with the little heart as a pink cupcake and the one without anything on it as a little blue cupcake. And the little sentiment says, "I'd be muffin without you," which I think is so cute. So now I'm going to adhere down that little card panel that we created with the sky and the grass, and like I said, it can be flush to that background because I don't have any of the raised hearts behind it. I'm going to use some Therm O Web 3D Zots to pop up my sentiment flag, and then I'm going to use 1 Zot on each of the little muffins to pop those up as well, and I'm just going to sit those right on the hill. You can see that the 3D Zots are clear, so even if it sits right behind that little muffin, you're not going to see it. The next thing I decided to do was just add a touch of shadow underneath those little cupcakes so it didn't look like they were just floating there on the grass. So I used a really, really light gray Copic marker. I think this was a C1, and I thought even that was a little bit too dark, so I grabbed a colorless blender and just blended that shadow in a little bit. And now it kind of does look like they're actually sitting on the hill. For the next card and the foiled edge, I'm going to use that same Tumbling Heart stencil over a piece of Gina K white cardstock. I'm also using some Gina K Turquoise Sea ink. This is the Gina K for Therm O Web ink that came out last release. I'm going to use an ink blender right over that stencil. I'm going to have a lighter hand at the top of that stencil and then use a darker hand at the bottom there so it kind of has a gradient of color. And I absolutely love this turquoise sea. It is my favorite color ever. And I'm just making sure that the hearts that are going to be die cut with that smaller frames and flags die are within there. So now I'm going to take it after it's been die cut and I'm going to run the iCraft Deco foil adhesive pen around the edge, and you can see that I'm just slowly running it. You don't have to press too hard or anything like that, just running it along the edge there next to the little stitching detail. Once the adhesive pen is dry, I'm going to run it through my Sizzix machine with the foil. I'm going to place it inside a parchment sandwich, which you don't have to do, but sometimes adhesive and little bits of foil get stuck to my cutting pads, so I like to use the parchment paper so it doesn't stick. You can see that I run it back and forth a couple of times, but you probably only need to do it once. If you miss any spots, you can go back in with the pen and redo the whole thing again, and it will come out really, really nice once you're done. Now I'm going to use some Memory Runner XL to adhere these two panels together with another frames and flags die that I cut out of turquoisey cardstock. This one that I cut out of white, which is this cute little flag, I'm going to edge with that turquoisey ink, and then I'm going to stamp these two little soda bottles and the sentiment that says "I soda like you." Again, I'm using that hybrid ink that is perfect for Copic coloring, and then I'm just going to color in these little soda bottles. I really liked the idea of orange soda on the turquoise sea background, so they are both little orange sodas. And once that was done, I have just to adhere this flag down to my card panel there, and I'm going to use some Therm O Web Zots to do that as well. So I used 3 Zots. That should keep it all nice and popped up even through the mail. It will give it lots of dimension, and then with the foiling you'll have lots of shine. So that's 2 ways to add some foiling to these cute Newton's Nook Designs products, including a foiled edge and a foiled stenciled background. All of the products that I used in this video, including the new foil colors Wild Cherry and Jade, will be linked down below if you want to check those out. I want to thank you so much for stopping by today. Have a wonderful day.